Derivative Astrology, Ground Rules. You Cannot Turn a Wheel You Never Learned to Read by Joe Constant. Let me be real with you for a second. Derivative astrology is not a shortcut. It is not a party trick you pull out after watching 3 videos. The technique of turning a chart is grammar. And grammar applied to words you do not actually know produces sentences that are technically structured and completely meaningless. So before we turn anything, we are going to make sure you know the words. The radical chart is the original map. The ascendant is the native, the person whose chart it is. Everything radiates outward from that point in a fixed and consistent order. Every house has a meaning that does not change regardless of what question you are asking or who you are reading for. That structure is what makes derivation coherent. If the foundation is solid, the turning works. If the foundation is shaky, you will produce answers that feel astrological and mean nothing. By the end of this part, you will be able to identify the correct anchor house for any subject, understand why house type determines how much power a reading actually has, and apply a framework most astrology writers have never bothered to explain: how to assign the right house to an app, a brand, a Substack, a podcast, or any modern professional entity. That last part is where this gets genuinely useful and where most people are currently guessing. The 12 houses, what they actually govern. Here is the vocabulary, not a recitation, a working reference with the honest version of what each house does. First house, your body, your identity, the mask you walk in with and the energy you project before you say a word. When you turn a chart, this is the house you recreate at every new starting point. Second house, what you own, earn, and value. Your personal resources, your relationship with money as something you generate yourself, not other people's money, yours. Third house, your immediate world, siblings, communication, short travel, the neighborhood, the people and places in your daily orbit that are not your home but are close to it. Fourth house, home, roots, where you come from and what you return to. The private foundation underneath everything visible. Also one of the parent houses, and we will get to the debate on that in a moment. Fifth house, children, creativity, pleasure, romance that is not yet committed, what you make and what you enjoy making. The house of output that comes directly from you. Sixth house, daily work, health routines, the things you manage and maintain every single day. Service, the grind, frankly, not your career reputation, your actual daily operation. Seventh house, the other person across from you. Partners, committed relationships, open enemies, clients in a face-to-face context, anyone who meets you as an equal on the other side of a formal relationship. Eighth house, shared resources, other people's money, what is owed, entangled or inherited, transformation, death. I need you to hear this clearly. The 8th house is primarily a financial house in derivative work. When you turn the chart and land on the 8th, your first question is not, is someone dying? Your first question is, whose money is this and what is the situation with it? The drama around the 8th house is a modern astrology problem. In practice, it is the most useful house in derivative work because it is the house that answers every question about what belongs to the person across from you. 9th house, higher education, publishing, foreign travel, philosophy, the bigger worldview beyond your immediate orbit. 10th house, your public reputation, what you are known for, career as a visible social identity. The other parent house. 11th house, who supports you, your audience, your community, gains that come from your career. This one is critical and chronically underused. The 11th house is the second from the 10th. It is the house that shows what your career or public role actually produces financially. Your 10th is your reputation. Your 11th is your paycheck from that reputation. 12th house, what is hidden, removed, or operating behind the scenes. Institutions, isolation, the private interior life, what you do not show. Case study, remote work, money, and relationship signatures. Theory without application is how people end up confidently wrong. Let's use a real chart, her chart. Libra ascendant whole sign houses. Her 6th house is Pisces. Jupiter rules Pisces. Jupiter sits in Virgo in her 12th house. Her daily work, her service routine, the 6th house grind, is ruled by a planet living in the 12th. She is a registered nurse working remotely from Georgia for a Florida job. She is not in the building. She is behind a wall, operating at a remove, doing essential daily service work from a place nobody sees. That is not a coincidence. That is Jupiter in the 12th ruling the 6th, doing exactly what it says. Her 11th house is Leo. The sun rules Leo. Her sun sits in Libra in the 1st house. The gains from her public career flow directly back to her identity. What she earns from being known is tied to who she is at the core level. Sun in the first ruling the 11th. Her professional output and her sense of self are the same conversation. Her second house is Scorpio. Mars rules Scorpio. Mars sits in Scorpio in that same second house. Mars in Scorpio in the house it rules. Her personal income, her owned resources, her money she generates herself is governed by a planet that is sitting directly in its own house at 27 degrees. That is not a soft money placement. That is someone who earns hard, earns deep, and does not lose money quietly. Now let's look at the boyfriend. Virgo ascendant, Sun and Mars both in Sagittarius in his 4th house, Moon and Saturn both in Leo in his 12th house. His Leo moon in the 12th is fascinating in the context of what we said about her North Node in Leo in her 11th. His emotional signature, the frequency he carries privately, is Leo, and it lives in the house of what is hidden. He is a public sports media figure with a private Leo moon tucked away in the 12th. The spotlight is his profession. The actual emotional life happens behind closed doors. Her North Node is in Leo in her 11th house. The audience she is being pulled toward, the public gain she is meant to build toward, carry a Leo signature. His moon is that exact signature. He is not just a person in her life. In the context of the chart, he is a living example of the energy she is supposed to be moving toward. That is not poetry. That is 2 charts in conversation. Angular, succedent, cadent. How much power does a house actually have? Not all houses deliver with the same force. This is one of the most practically useful things to understand before you start reading turned houses, because the position of a turned house ruler tells you how much power it has to actually deliver on the topic it governs. Angular houses, 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th. These are the loudest houses in the chart. Planets here are active, visible, and direct. When a turned house ruler lands in an angular house, the topic has force behind it. Things happen, results show up. Succedent houses, 2nd, 5th, 8th, 11th. These houses stabilize and resource what the angles initiate. They are not loud, but they are solid. A turned house ruler in a succedent house means the topic has staying power, resources behind it, support structure. It may not move fast, but it does not collapse either. Cadent houses, 3rd, 6th, 9th, 12th. These are the transitional houses, behind the scenes, reduced direct force. A turned house ruler in a cadent house means the topic is operating at a remove, in process, not yet landed, or happening in a context that is not fully visible. Her Jupiter is in Virgo in the 12th house, a cadent house. Jupiter rules her 6th house of daily work. Her work has cadent energy behind it. It operates from a remove. It functions, but not from a position of angular visibility and direct force. That matches the remote nursing setup exactly. His moon and Saturn are both in Leo in his 12th house, 2 planets, one of them a luminary, both cadent, both hidden. His emotional and structural interior life is running in the background. The 4th house Sagittarius Sun and Mars are angular. What is visible from him is expansive, direct, and emotion. What runs underneath is private. The hemisphere split. Your first filter when you are lost. When you are not sure which house to anchor a question in, this is your first filter. Houses 1 through 6 are the personal hemisphere. They describe the native's own immediate life, body, money, immediate environment, home, creativity, daily work. If the question is about the person whose chart you are reading and their own direct experience, you are in houses 1 through 6. Houses 7 through 12 are the relational hemisphere. They describe the native's relationship with others and with larger systems, partners, shared resources, philosophy, public reputation, community, hidden matters. If the question involves another person or a larger structure the native is embedded in, you are in houses 7 through 12. This split does not answer every question, but it eliminates half the wheel immediately when you are uncertain where to start. The opposite house axes. Every house has a mirror directly across the wheel, and those pairs define relational axes that are structurally built into the chart. In derivative work, these oppositions show up constantly. 1st and 7th, self versus other, your identity versus the person across from you. When you turn the chart to the 7th, you are standing in the house that is the literal opposite of where you normally stand. 2nd and 8th, your money versus theirs, what you own versus what is shared, owed, or inherited. This axis is the most practically useful in any question about finances involving more than one person. 4th and 10th, private roots versus public career, what you come from versus what you are known for. These are also the parent houses, and here is where the tradition gets contentious. 5th and 11th, what you create versus who receives it, your output versus your audience. An app, a business, a creative project lives in the 5th. The people who follow it, fund it, or benefit from it live in the 11th. This axis is the one that matters most for anyone building something in public. 3rd and 9th, local versus distant, immediate communication versus broad worldview, short travel versus foreign territory. 6th and 12th, visible daily service versus hidden operation, the work you manage versus the work that happens behind a wall. The parent house debate. Okay, so look, this one has been argued for centuries, and I am not going to pretend there is a clean resolution. Hellenistic tradition assigns the 10th house to the mother and the 4th to the father. Modern convention flips it, 4th for mother, 10th for father. Both have documented precedent. Both produce real results in practice depending on the chart and the reader. The rule is not which one to choose. The rule is that you pick one and you hold it consistently through the entire reading. Switching mid-reading because the first result felt uncomfortable is not astrology, it is chart manipulation. You do not get to reassign a house because the planet you found there does not match your expectations. Pick your tradition, commit to it, and read what the chart actually shows. Her 10th house is Cancer. The moon rules Cancer. Her moon is in Libra in the 1st house. If you assign the 10th to the mother using the Hellenistic convention, the mother's significator is the moon, sitting in the 1st house conjunct the sun and Saturn. The mother is woven directly into the native's identity. Her mother is a Leo and a nurse. The moon ruling the 10th, sitting in a stellium in the 1st, and the mother sharing the same profession as the native. That is not nothing. Her 4th house is Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn sits in Libra in the 1st house. Under Hellenistic assignment, that would be the father's significator also landing in the 1st, also fused with her identity. Her father is a Libra, a communications engineer, Saturn ruling Capricorn, sitting in Libra in the 1st house of identity and self-presentation. Both parents, whichever convention you use, have their significators landing in her 1st house. They are both written into who she is. Modern assignments, apps, brands, audiences. This is where people get stuck and start guessing. An app is not always the 5th house. A business is not always the 10th. Context determines the anchor house, and getting the anchor wrong means your derivative count starts from the wrong address and every answer after that is reading someone else's story. Here is the framework. The 5th house is the right anchor when the question is about the creative output itself, the thing you made, an app as a product, a course as a creative work, a piece of content as something generated from your own mind and hands. The 10th house is the right anchor when the question is about public reputation. How is this thing perceived? What is it known for? What is the professional standing of this brand or entity in the world? The 6th or 7th house is the right anchor when the question is about function for users. The 6th if the product serves people in a daily routine capacity. The 7th if the relationship between the product and its user is a direct face-to-face exchange. The 11th house is the right anchor when the question is about audience growth, community, or financial gains coming in from the public side of a career. The same logic applies to courses, channels, podcasts, newsletters, and any modern professional entity. One thing can have multiple anchors depending on what you are asking about it. The essential quality test, which we will cover in part 4, formalizes this process. For now, the principle is identify what aspect of the thing you are asking about, then assign the house that governs that aspect. Quick reference, save this. Product or creative output itself, 5th house. Daily function for users, 6th house. Direct client or user relationship, 7th house. Public reputation and visibility, 10th house. Audience, community, and career gains, 11th house. Radical first, turn second, always. This is the 2-step rule and it is non-negotiable. Step 1, identify the radical house of the subject, the person or thing you are asking about. Where do they live in this chart? Step 2, identify what you want to know about that subject. What topic? What area of their life? Step 3, count. Skipping step 1 produces readings that are technically flawless and structurally wrong. You will count perfectly and arrive at the correct house for the wrong subject. The arithmetic will be clean, the answer will mean nothing. Radical first, turn second, every single time.